to a new edition of Wednesday's Wisdom, a weekly recap show about American gods. Terrence Johnson, the digital content and social media coordinator for Relativity School, here with
AJ
and Gavin.
Yeah, real quick with it. So yes, once again, we are here to talk about American gods. As many of you know, we are on the LA Center Studios lot, and the American Gods Writers Room is somewhere here. We haven't received an answer to our prayer, much like Essie McGowan, although she eventually got hers. So hopefully they will.
She died.
Yeah, hopefully
time.
death.
when we die, we'll be taken up by the writers.
Yeah, hopefully we won't need death to get them to come downstairs. But yeah, this week was a backstory episode, but not about who we thought it would be about. We all thought it was going to be Mad Sweeney's episode, but in reality, he was sort of like on the periphery of it.
Right.
It was really about Essie McGowan, who is an ancestor of Laura. So yeah, but what overall, before we dive in, what were your overall thoughts on the episode?
Well, I think doing a backstory episode so close to the season finale was a pretty bold move. I'm really hoping that the season finale still comes in and is able to really, kind of pack a punch before it all comes to a close and tell the season. But it was cool nonetheless. I mean, the story that they presented was still in and of itself really heartfelt, and it was nice to kind of see Essie McGowan in this relationship with Mad Sweeney, because in modern times we're used to seeing him as this really angry, fighting kind of leprechaun, and in this flashback or whatever you want to call it, we got to see a little bit more of a kinder side of him, where he's there comforting this old lady as she passes away.
Yeah, when I first watched it, I thought it was really, really nice. I didn't actually know until I came in today and started talking before the cameras were rolling with you guys, and learned that the season finale is the next one. So it was a bit of a bold move, but I really I enjoyed the very story-driven story that we were given. We also learned who the writer was the whole time.
Yes.
I thought that was interesting. What do you guys think of that?
It's fun to see. It was gods in just regular life. They run that funeral parlor. Ibis and Jackal is the name of it. And him being I could see you have a story in you. And his fingers start twitching because he needs to write. And then he tells this. We get an extended coming to America, which is probably a good place to kick off conversation about what actually happened in that. So we meet Essie McGowan, who is a young Irish lass who, I guess, grandmother told her all of these stories about leprechauns and fairies, and she took them to heart. She always, left out a plate of milk at the windowsill and made sure, eventually that her kids would have, was it bread in one pocket and salt in the other. But what was interesting is as she grows up, she works in this house and falls in love with the son of the master, and he gives her a special locket that was given to it was his grandmother's, and they find it one day on her, and of course the guy can't say anything, so she gets branded a thief and sent on a ship to America because she's going to become an indentured servant. I found it very interesting that they brought that storyline in, because we've seen we had another boat coming to America sequence with Anansi, and what happened there, and then this one was this is indentured servitude. So she's on this boat, it's awful, all because of this thief thing and then not randomly, but just somebody dies, right, on the boat. Not that it's funny that somebody was dying, but just that somebody dies on the boat, and the captain sees her as they're trying to carry it, and it's love at first sight. they share a passionate evening together. She basically is freed from the bottom of the ship, and when they land, she becomes his wife. I believe they get married.
Go back to London.
They go back to London, and they're living in, in bliss. She's no longer, forced to, become an indentured servant. But what's interesting is that rather than take that cushy life, when the captain leaves, she decides to become a thief. So she steals like all the silver in the house, and then proceeds to go on about her merry thieving way. So,
As any of us would.
well, I was fascinated by the fact I am not 100% certain why she decided to be.
I love characters like that. There's a certain likability to unpredictability, as well as many writers believe that intelligence and unpredictability is more likable than being kind these days. No longer is it save the cat, but trick the cat back up into the tree.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, because I was like, oh, you survived. Like, you have a good life. Like, don't throw it all away.
Yeah. I think she maybe got a little too comfortable in her new kind of pampered lifestyle that she also became a little bit reckless. And also, with her husband gone at sea and, she's just here in this big empty house, like, I feel like, that would get boring after a while. Eventually you'd have to find something to help occupy your time, help you find some fun, and I feel like that's maybe where the theft aspect came from. It kind of rooted itself.
Interesting. And I think maybe because it's played by the same actress who plays Laura Moon, Emily Browning, is that same impulsiveness to do things is there. And so that was maybe that was the parallel there. But so she becomes a thief, and she's stealing apples and lace in broad daylight. When she took the apple, I was like, okay, somebody's about to catch her, because there's no way that she's stealing all of this stuff.
If Aladdin can't get away with it.
No. And she gets caught and sentenced to go right back to what her sentence was previously, which was to go to North Carolina and become an indentured servant, which is not great. She gets thrown in jail, and who should she happen to be next to but Mad Sweeney? And they have a really, fun conversation about both of their, sort of stations in life. But what was interesting to me, I think, and it's definitely a question I posed, was why was he in jail? How was... Well, he says he's in jail because I guess he, went out to a pub and either couldn't pay or got into a fight. But he is, at that point, a god. Why is he in jail?
Maybe it was to meet her.
Could have been, yeah. Maybe it wasn't necessarily intentional, but it was sort of this element of magic where, because she had so much faith her whole life in leprechauns and magic, that it managed to kind of manifest itself there when she needed it the most.
Yeah, because I was definitely wondering about what a leprechaun's power is, and how that, Mad Sweeney in the present is sort of bemoaning his station, because he was like, I was a king, and then I was this, and then, Lucky Charms did the rest. And it's like, but people still have belief in that cereal as being good, whether it is or not is for debate. But it's like, I sort of, in my mind, I was like, maybe he is whatever he's, his power is dictated in the moment by sort of whatever people feel about him. So maybe he's a brawler in the present because of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish thing, and we think of leprechauns as these plucky things. Although but he's still tall.
Yeah.
He's still a big leprechaun.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. But I guess in her luck, she meets the jailer, who is kind of a weird old man, but takes a liking to her. They have sex. She gets pregnant, and instead sent her off to become this indentured servant. somebody again dies on the boat, and they just sort of push him out of the window, which was really weird.
was fun.
It was
It was fun to
I was
watch.
like, oh, wow. But she gets to the United States and is working in North Carolina and comes across another man who is using her to care for both of the children.
I never realized that you took me for...
As she told him how shocked and hurt she was. A poor widow woman to be asked to prostitute herself for a man whom she had so much respect for. An indentured servant could not marry. So how could he think to torment an ill-starred transportee girl she could not fathom?
Poor transportee girl who's got feelings for you. Feelings that she can't possibly return.
John Richardson found himself going down on one knee and proposing an end to her indenture.
Yeah, I found it really interesting, the connection between Laura and her, because there's also the contrast with the faith, because Bessie, it's not Bessie, Essie has a lot of faith, and Laura doesn't have
Any
Right.
at all.
That's interesting how when Essie eventually does die, I mean, we'll get there, but it's the leprechaun that shows up at that point because that's what she had faith in her whole life, whereas when Laura dies, she had faith in nothing, and so when she goes to this afterlife, nothing is what she was going to kind of descend into. So it's interesting how like faith and expectations that come in life are in the show what kind of manifest themselves after death.
Yeah, I found it really was sweet with the coin trick. It was kind of a cheap trick, but there was something sweet about it.
Yeah, that's all that's all you needed.
Yeah.
Contrast. So we mentioned the present day is there, still in this cab, with Salim headed to Kentucky. They stop off because Salim needs to pray. He's like, how many times he prays? Like 5 times a day, which was really it's funny to have him there in that moment because it's like he's a god and a lot of their power is based on belief in prayer and time and attention, and so like him being frustrated at somebody paying that attention to a god I thought was really funny.
It was funny. It wasn't him though. It was another guy. Maybe he was jealous.
He might be, because he goes off on a bathroom break and he runs into the crows, which we know are in the employ of Odin,
Right.
Mr. Wednesday, and he's yelling at them, and then Laura pops up and she's like, "Why are you talking to crows?" But in that moment, he reveals where they're going, which she then tells to Salim, and frees Salim from like another sort of being in captivity with them, and he's on his way to the house on the rock in Wisconsin, wherever that is, to meet his djinn again.
Yeah. The meeting.
I really do wonder what he hopes is going to be the result of that.
Yeah, I think maybe he's hoping love, something like that, but who knows what he's going to find when he gets there. And I think it's interesting, kind of backtracking a bit, that where all of the gods are meeting is the house on the rock. It reminds me of like City on a Hill, like Olympus, something like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh wow. That is cool.
That's in a way it just reminds me of like this Christian song. It's like a wise man built his house upon a rock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
there's so much mythology.
yeah, lots of intertwining.
There was I hope it has something to do with the fact that we did see the djinn bumping into. I think we saw him a couple of times.
We saw him in
before
episode 2.
his-
in episode 2,
Yeah. Maybe there are multiple djinn that all look exactly like him.
Mm-hmm.
So we
okay.
get this nice slapstick
That'd be
moment
funny.
where he's going through like a room full of all of them that look the same. He's trying
That
to
would be
find
great.
his.
I really want all of the Jesuses to be in one place.
Yeah.
So I
all of the
definitely,
Jesuses, all of the djinns.
yeah, I'm definitely here for that idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, he runs off with a cab, and Matt Sweeney's like, "Well, how are we gonna get there now?" So they steal an ice cream truck.
Yeah. Which is convenient.
never stole
'cause
anything
she's dead,
before.
and now like she's
Yeah.
being kept
Yeah.
somewhat fresh.
Which was when they're in the car and it's like, and he was like, not all of us are. They're on the ice cream truck and we see a rabbit on the road.
Oh, right.
Throws the
Um,
coins.
and then he throws some coins out the window. And I was like, oh, I already know where this is going. Like, I don't know who I have an idea of who the bunny is just by virtue of who we're supposed to meet next week. But it was clearly like some god.
Mhm.
That was a rabbit.
Yeah.
Darts across the road, causes I don't know why Laura didn't just slam on the brakes.
Swerve.
She felt the need
way
to
out
swerve.
that way, Yeah.
The
Really violent swerve too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
flips the truck. Ice cream goes flying everywhere. She goes flying through the window. The coin goes flying out of her, and she's now dead on the road.
Yep.
Sweeney walks out, picks up the coin, and we get a flashback to the night that Laura died in that car accident. And we see that it was Mad Sweeney who actually ran them off the road. And he talks to one of the crows and he's like, tell Mr. Wednesday that it's done. So Mr. Wednesday put out the original hit that killed Laura, that put Shadow in his... That was like the one big significant thing that
Oh,
happened.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The only significant thing that happened in this episode.
The most significant 10 seconds of the episode.
Yeah. How about that reveal though? Like that.
Yeah. Just the fact that Sweeney is still working with Wednesday, and he's. I actually looked up the translation when he's cursing in Gaelic at the sky over her body, like right before he brings her back. He's basically cursing Odin and
Really?
saying, "I'm not evil. I'm tired of doing your dirty work." And so I think that's gonna be a huge pivot we see in future
That's
developments.
fascinating.
Wow.
Because now, he puts the coin back in, and, she gets mad and
Yep.
flicks him.
And punches him in the face right
Yeah,
after
but-
he brings her back. Yeah, it's a fun dynamic, really.
It is. It really
They're,
is.
yeah, they're the bro TP of
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, she flips the truck back over.
Mhm.
They get in it, and they're on their way to the house on the rock. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, at first I was like, if I was Sweeney, I would take that coin and leave.
Yeah.
But I
Do you
guess
think he knows that they're related? She's related to.
I wonder if that's something that has been playing all along, and I think that might be the brilliance of having Emily Browning act those two parts.
Yeah.
Is that there's this thread, and it's like maybe maybe he needs to be around a person who doesn't believe and establish the belief. I kind of feel like it's mirroring, even though I think Shadow should have gotten it by now. It's mirroring the Shadow Mr.
Yeah,
Wednesday thing, being around somebody who doesn't believe and trying to get them to believe.
Yeah.
But I think his time with Essie McGowan is playing in why he's even tolerating her as much as
Yeah, because it wasn't because of the coin.
no.
Not anymore.
Yeah, there's definitely a connection there now. As much as they butt heads, there's a bond. you know?
Yeah. But that was basically the end of the episode. 54 minutes and we did not see Wednesday or Shadow or any of the other gods.
Right.
We just know that they're now on their way to Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's converging on the House on the Rock, which we see in the trailer for next week. We meet Kristen Chenoweth's character. She's playing Easter. I'm very excited to see what she will bring, and we get the hints that something is going to go down.
Mhm.
Something major is going to go down at this place. Any theories on what is going to happen?
Well, going just with Laura and Sweeney to start with, I think when they show up, assuming they get there at the same time as everyone else, that's going to be a big pivotal moment for Shadow, where he has to make a decision on who he's going to align himself with. Because Sweeney's now pissed off Mr. Wednesday by going back on him, bringing back Laura. Laura's just after Shadow. She doesn't care about Mr. Wednesday. She's trying to get Shadow with her. And so I think that's going to put Shadow in a situation where he's got characters pulling him in two different ways. You know, Laura wants him to come with her, and Mr. Wednesday hates her, wants her dead, hates Sweeney, who she's got this little duo with now, and Mr. Wednesday wants Shadow for reasons that have yet to be revealed, I guess. But it'll be cool to see which one Shadow goes with. And other than that, I think we might see a clash between the old gods and the new gods at this house on the hill. Because it seems like everyone knows that this meeting is going to be happening, and you know, the new gods are, I imagine, going to be there if they know stuff's going down.
Yeah, it really seems Wednesday didn't really put forth much of an effort to keep it a secret.
No, not at all.
So if we do see some new gods in the episode, they're gonna know
Yeah.
about the meeting and they're
Yeah.
gonna attack. I entirely see, because you know, I could see them kind of stretching out the conflict a little bit longer. Maybe the first attack doesn't come at the season finale.
Right.
Oof.
I think this might be the episode where all the alliances and the conflicts kind of emerge, where
Yeah.
everyone shows up. There's this giant, not necessarily clash of war, but clash of who's going to be on whose side, and kind of this bargaining. Because I mean, even with the old gods, you see some of them, like Volcom. He took the side of the new gods, of course, before he was promptly decapitated by
Yes.
Mr. Wednesday. But
Put in some bullets.
yeah, it goes to show that you know, not everyone's necessarily gonna stick on the side that you'd expect them to, and so I think it'll be a really character-heavy episode to see who decides to do what, and I think at the very end we'll see the war get kicked off.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have all of them in the same place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Finally, because I think one of the things that the show's doing really is the characters are very rich, and so like the more, you know, strong people you can put in one space, like hopefully the more conflict that you'll get, and the more awesome it will be.
Yes.
Right.
And I think that Shadow will finally understand who everybody is.
Yeah.
Seriously, I really hope so.
That is my main goal.
Yeah.
I think that he'll finally understand who everybody is, and I do think that we won't see that the war will kick off and it'll be like cut to black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see some arguing between the old gods. There might be a war that starts between the old gods. They are known for their warring together.
Do you think the new gods are afraid of the war?
I don't know if they're afraid. I mean, it seems they'd like to prevent it.
They don't seem to have as many, like...
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say it doesn't seem like they have as much of a drive towards war.
I think they're really kind of content with what they have right now. Like, they have the worship they need. They've got this kind of strong sense of unity. Everything's very orderly. And I think war to them is a threat to that kind of control they have over things. It's going to bring chaos, and that's not going to complement the goals they have for the world. So I think they'd like to avoid war, but if war comes, you know, they've got their own agenda they're trying to protect, and I don't think that they would hold back.
Yeah, they're more of a collective, more of a let's all work together
Right.
and build something together sort of group. We haven't really gotten very much development on them yet.
No.
We may have like 3 or 4 scenes on all of them total. Like 1 for Mr. World, 2 for I Love Lucy, and another
media,
2 for
yeah.
tech media guy.
Right.
Yeah, that should be, because part of me feels like they've never had to go to war before, and so like there's a little like are you sure we don't have to like? They're peaceful. Come on, Odin. Like we can
Yeah,
figure
Yeah,
it.
let's
Yeah.
have a
And-
merger.
Yeah,
Yeah, come
like
on,
they're-
let's merge.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and that's there. And then the old gods are just like, we're just gonna fight this out.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Uh,
old
This
gods
is the
don't
old
have
ways.
much to lose, really.
No,
Like,
they don't.
war is their
Yeah.
only card at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
I was gonna say that the new gods haven't really like there haven't been so many wars recently.
Mhm.
That's what I was gonna say earlier, and then I
Mhm.
remembered all of the wars that happened recently.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, you know, it's probably strengthened Mr. World because he,
Uh-huh.
you know, was the person who tipped him off to Osama bin Laden, which
Mm.
Oh, right.
still, that throwaway line is,
Mm.
I think, was brilliant. It
Uh-huh.
was like established
Yeah,
the
yeah.
world of the series.
I think
Yeah.
it's interesting that Mr. World is kind of like the Illuminati eye
Mhm.
that you see
Totally.
in modern culture, where
Mm.
just this idea of like someone that sees everything and knows everything, and that's really what his character is. He's
Yeah.
got all this intelligence. He seems to know everything about everyone,
Yeah.
and he runs this giant connected web of something, of people, of countries, of
Yeah.
you know, the makeup of the world.
Yeah.
So the old gods are gonna have they're gonna have a challenge for sure,
Yeah.
taking on this powerful new structure in society.
So I'm looking forward to next week's episode. We will be back in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Doing like a bigger sort of spectacular finale and season wrap up episode. So yeah, that's in 2 weeks. So don't come to the Relativity School Facebook page expecting to see
Right.
one next week.
Yeah, don't come at all.
No, please visit. Check out the videos that we have. We have some very talented students. Both of you are featured in some stuff that's on
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
on the
I believe
page.
so.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And some new stuff that's coming out.
Yes, I can't wait to see it. So yeah, for
Yeah.
all of us, that's this week's Wednesday Wisdom.
I'd like to say I got that. Just at the beginning of this episode, I got the Wednesday's Wisdom thing.
Oh right, Mr.
That
Wednesday.
it's Mr.
Mhm.
Wednesday, and that we release on Wednesday.
Yes,
Um,
I'm glad.